My daughter tearfully asked why she didn't get a gold bar, and I decisively canceled the 19-person European tour, sending my mother-in-law's family into an uproar. At my mother-in-law's birthday banquet, she gave each of her 12 grandchildren a gold bar. Skipping over my daughter's eyes were red-rimmed as she asked me, her voice filled with grievance, "Mommy, why didn't I get one?" My heart shattered at that moment. I stroked her hair, saying nothing. My husband, noticing the situation, leaned in and whispered, "Don't be angry. Mom probably just overlooked it. She'll make it up to her later." I gave him a cold glance. Without changing my expression, I took out my phone and directly canceled the 19-person luxury European cruise tickets that had already been booked. I can forego the gold bar, but I will never tolerate anything that hurts my daughter's dignity. I want her to understand just how painful it is to be selectively forgotten. My mother-in-law, Lu Xiaoa, was celebrating her 70th birthday at the city's most luxurious hotel. The magnificent banquet hall was bustling with noise and the clinking of glasses. Lu Xiaoa, wearing a custom-made dark red cheongsam, sat in the main seat, radiant with joy, basking in the adulation of those around her. After a few rounds of drinks, the most exciting part of the evening arrived. Lu Xiaoa had her assistant bring up a heavy velvet box. She cleared her throat, her voice not loud, but enough to quiet the entire room. "This year I'm 70. And having a house full of children and grandchildren is the greatest blessing of my life. I've prepared some small gifts for my 12 grandchildren." The box was opened, revealing neatly arranged gold bars inside. Each one was a shimmering yellow, radiating an alluring glow under the lights. "Come on, line up one by one and come to Grandma to receive your gift." My eldest sister-in-law's 2 sons were the first to rush forward, each receiving a bar and beaming from ear to ear. "Thank you, Grandma." Next were my younger brother-in-law's twins. Then came the various grandchildren from the Zhou family's extended relatives. 12 children, 12 gold bars, one after another. My daughter, Ainen, stood in the queue, filled with anticipation. She was wearing a princess dress that I had specially chosen for her, her hair in beautiful braids, looking like a little angel. Her turn came. She reached out her little hand, looked up, and called out in her sweetest voice, "Grandma." But the smile on Lu Xiao's face froze at that moment. Without even looking at Ainen, she directly closed the box containing the last gold bar. She said to the assistant, "Okay. Put it away." The air in the entire banquet hall seemed to stand still. Everyone's gaze fell on my daughter's little hand, outstretched in midair. Ainen's eyes instantly filled with tears. She looked at me, bewildered, and asked with a quivering voice, "Mommy, why didn't I get one?" At that moment, my heart shattered into dust. I went over, hugged her tightly, and stroked her hair. "It's okay, Ainen. Grandma probably didn't prepare enough." I didn't say anything, but I had already made up my mind. My husband, Zhou Wenbin, trying to gauge my mood, came over and whispered, "Don't be angry. Mom probably just overlooked it for a moment. She'll make it up to her another day." I gave him a cold look, saying nothing. The iciness in my eyes startled him, and he took half a step back. At the dinner table, Lu Xiaoa was still showing off her generosity. "I'm never stingy with my own biological grandchildren. These 12 children are all dear to my heart." An ear-piercing phone notification sounded. I expressionlessly took out my phone and, in front of everyone, opened the itinerary I had booked long ago. 19 people, 14-day deep dive into Europe on a luxury cruise. This was the birthday gift I had prepared. It included all of Zhou Wenbin's siblings and their children. I pressed the red cancel order button. Then, I selected reason for refund. I typed in each word carefully. "Sorry. Miscalculated the number of passengers." Only one person meets the travel standards. I had seen Lucio's favoritism over the years, but this time, she had completely crossed my bottom line. I can do without the gold bar, but I can't tolerate harming my daughter's dignity. I want her to know just how painful it is to be selectively forgotten. Joe Wenbin's phone rang almost simultaneously. He picked it up and looked at it. His face instantly turned pale. He looked up at me abruptly, his lips trembling, his eyes full of disbelief. Su Jing, you canceled the cruise tickets. I didn't speak. I just looked back at him calmly. Yes. One word. Light as a feather. But like a boulder crashing into Zhou Wenbin's heart. His breathing immediately became erratic. Are you crazy? How could you be so impulsive? He lowered his voice, his tone filled with panic. Mom didn't mean it. She's getting old. She just forgot for a moment. There it is again. That same old excuse. Forgot. 12 grandchildren. No more. No less. 12 gold bars. She clearly remembers every nephew, grandnephew, and grandson. But she alone forgets her own son's own daughter. What a lie. Who does she think she's fooling? I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. I just asked him calmly, Zhou Wenbin, do you know how much that order cost? He was stunned. How much? 380,000. I clearly enunciated the 3 words. Zhou Wenbin's eyes widened instantly. That was booked with my own money. It was me. Su Jing, who intended to give it to your mother as a gift for her 70th birthday. Your mother looks down on my daughter, thinking she's not worthy of a gold bar worth tens of thousands. Then, she and those family members of yours whom she deems worthy certainly don't deserve this gift of mine. Worth 380,000. My voice was light, very steady. Every word was like a cold knife, stabbing into Zhou Wenbin's heart. He opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. His face turned from white to green, from green to red. Money can be earned again. He managed to choke out after a long while. Then what about Ainan's grievances? I looked directly into his eyes. Can the grievances and humiliation that Ainan suffered today also be compensated for? Zhou Wenbin, did you see? Your daughter's hand was raised the whole time. Everyone was watching. She's only 6 years old. Zhou Wenbin's lips trembled. Completely unable to speak, the panic in his eyes gradually turned into guilt and helplessness. He knew that everything I said was true. He knew how excessive his mother had been today. But he knew even more that he couldn't change anything. Because in his heart, his mother was always right. Even if she was wrong, it was up to us, the younger generation, to understand and tolerate her. The birthday banquet ended in a strange atmosphere. On the way home, Ainan had already fallen asleep in my arms. Tears still clung to the corners of her eyes, and she sobbed occasionally in her sleep. My heart was twisted again. Zhou Wenbin drove in silence all the way. Almost home, he finally couldn't help but speak. Su Jing, is there any room for redemption in this matter? They'll talk to Mom. No. They'll take Ainan to kowtow and apologize to her. As long as you rebook the tickets. I felt like I had heard the biggest joke in the world. Kowtow and apologize. Zhou Wenbin, do you think I, Su Jing, am particularly easy to bully? He was choked by my words. That's not what I meant. I mean, Mom has been showing off in the family group for half a day, saying that you, this daughter-in-law, are filial and booked a luxury cruise to take the whole family to Europe. Now that you've canceled the tickets, where is she supposed to put her face? I sneered. So, what he was worried about, from beginning to end, was only his mother's face, not my daughter's feelings. My phone, at this moment, rang inappropriately. 2 words jumped on the screen. Mother-in-law. I pressed the answer button and turned on the speakerphone. Joe Wenbin's face instantly paled even further. He looked at me nervously. His mouth opened and closed, wanting to say something but not daring to. Su Jing, what do you mean by this? From the other end of the phone came Lu Xiu's furious roar. Her voice was shrill, piercing my eardrums. I held the phone a little further away, my tone calm and indifferent. Mom, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're still playing dumb with me. The cruise tickets. Why did you cancel them? I'm asking you a question. Are you mute? Lu Xiu was obviously driven mad, tearing off even the most basic pretense. I ignored her roar. I just unhurriedly asked her in return. Mom, I also want to ask you something. Today you gave 12 grandchildren gold bars. Why did you skip over my daughter Anan alone? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. After a few seconds, Lu Xiu said in an impatient tone, "She's just a girl. What does she need gold bars for? Besides, there are so many children." I just forgot for a moment. Is that not okay? Forgot. What a convenient forgot. The sneer on my lips deepened. Oh, so you forgot. You're getting old. Your memory isn't good. It's understandable. Lu Xiu seemed to think I had yielded, and her tone softened a little. It's good that you know. Quickly rebook the tickets for me. Don't let me lose face in front of the relatives. Mom, I interrupted her. Unfortunately, I also forgot something today. What? I forgot that you have so many grandchildren. I always thought you only had one son, which is my husband Joe Wenbin. So my birthday gift is only prepared for you alone. I didn't expect that you have 12 darlings in your heart. It seems that I, as a daughter-in-law, have a small. Lu Xiu was a little confused by my words. What exactly are you trying to say? My voice suddenly turned cold. I want to say, since you feel Anan isn't worthy of your gift, then you, and your grandchildren who are worthy of gold bars, are naturally not worthy of the trip I paid for. My memory isn't good either, so I canceled the order. I don't think you can afford this 380,000 yuan gift. On the other end of the phone, there was dead silence. I could even imagine Lu Xiu's stunned and incredulous expression at that moment. For so many years, I had been playing the role of a docile, filial, and considerate daughter-in-law. Whatever she said, went, even when she was wrong. Joe Wenbin would tell me to endure and make concessions. This created an illusion for her that I, Su Jing, was just a soft persimmon that could be easily manipulated. After a full half-minute, Lu Xiu finally found her voice, trembling, full of shock and anger. Su Jing, how dare you talk to me like that? Why wouldn't I dare? I retorted calmly. I earned the money myself, and I can spend it on whoever I want. You have the right to choose not to love my daughter, and I naturally have the right to choose not to be filial to you. It's only fair. You unfilial woman. Just you wait. Lu Xiu screamed hysterically into the phone, then hung up fiercely. Silence returned to the car. Joe Wenbin's hand, gripping the steering wheel, was trembling slightly. He looked at me, his eyes filled with extreme complexity. There was shock, there was anger, and more than anything, a kind of unprecedented unfamiliarity, as if he was seeing me for the first time today. Back home, the door slammed shut with a bang. Joe Wenbin could no longer suppress the anger that had been building up all the way. Su Jing, what the hell were you doing tonight? He threw the car keys hard on the cabinet in the entryway, making a sharp, ear-piercing sound. I gently carried the sleeping Anan in my arms into the bedroom, covered her with the quilt, and tucked in the corners. Throughout the entire process, I moved gently, without making a sound, as if the raging man outside was just an irrelevant background noise. When I came out of the room, Joe Wenbin was staring at me with bloodshot eyes. "I'm talking to you. Can't you hear me? I canceled an order worth 380,000 yuan. For my daughter's neglected dignity," I said calmly, walking to the sofa in the living room and sitting down. "This isn't called going crazy. It's called fighting back. Fighting back. Fighting back against who? That's my mom." He paced back and forth in front of me, like a beast trapped in a cage. "She's 70 years old. Was it easy for her to raise me? Can't you be more understanding?" The same old argument. Every time his mother did something wrong, he used "she's old and she's had a hard life" to morally blackmail me. "Joe Wenbin, she's your mother, not mine. I have my own mother. And my mother taught me that one must disgrace oneself before others will disgrace you." Today, she humiliated my daughter in front of everyone, which is the same as humiliating me, and you, as my husband, Ainan's father. "Did you say a single word for us from beginning to end?" My question was like a sharp sword, piercing his heart. He was instantly speechless. I just told you not to be angry, and that we could make it up to her another day. Right. Make it up. I sneered. Can you make up for dignity? Your daughter stood there like a clown in front of dozens of relatives, holding out her hand, only to be met with a closed box. Tell me, how do you make up for that embarrassment? Joe Wenbin's face turned liver-colored. He probably realized he couldn't win by reasoning. So he started changing the subject. Do you know that the family group chat has exploded? He picked up his phone and shoved the screen in my face. Aunt, auntie, cousins, everyone is asking me what's going on. My mother said that you made her lose face in public. And now she can't hold her head up in front of the relatives. Her face. I looked at him and suddenly felt incredibly ridiculous and incredibly sad. Joe Wenbin, in your heart, is your mother's face more important than your daughter's feelings? Is that right? He avoided my gaze. That subconscious action already gave me the answer. My heart turned completely cold. What kind of man have I been loving all these years? A perpetually immature man-child, hiding under his mother's wings. Su Jing. Don't make it sound so bad. He ran his hands through his hair in frustration. It's already happened, so you need to think of a way to smooth things over. Go apologize to mom tomorrow. Just say you acted impulsively. Rebook the tickets. And that's that. I looked at him silently, looking at this man who was seriously offering me solutions. I suddenly stood up. Joe Wenbin. Yeah, let's get a divorce. He abruptly raised his head, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. You. What did you say? I'm saying, divorce. I repeated, enunciating each word clearly. This family, you and your mother call the shots. I, and my daughter, are not going to play along anymore. Joe Wenbin was completely dumbfounded. He probably thought I was just saying it out of anger. He was stunned for a good 10 seconds before stuttering. Divorce. Su Jing. Stop messing around. Okay. Is it worth it for such a small thing? Small thing. In his eyes, his daughter's dignity being trampled and his wife's heart being broken were all just small things. I couldn't be bothered to say another word to him. I went straight to the study and took out the file bag I had prepared long ago. Inside was a printed divorce agreement. I slammed it on the coffee table, in front of Joe Wenbin. Take a look. And if there are no problems, well, go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Joe Wenbin's eyes fell on the 5 large characters divorce agreement, and his pupils suddenly contracted. Only then did he realize that I wasn't joking. I was serious. You had already thought about it. His voice was trembling. That's right. I admitted frankly. From the moment Ainan reached out but didn't get anything, I had already thought about it. Zhou Wenbin. It's never the last straw that breaks the camel's back. It's your mother's repeated bias over the years, and your repeated attempts to smooth things over. I've had enough. Zhou Wenbin's face was as pale as paper. He picked up the agreement, his hands shaking like autumn leaves in the wind. The house. The house belongs to you and Anan. The car is also yours. The savings. The division method is. With each line he read, his face became paler. Over the years, my career has been smooth sailing, and most of the family's expenses and asset purchases have come from me. As for him, he was content with the status quo, earning a mediocre salary. He probably never thought about what he would lose once he lost me. Su Jing, you can't do this to me. He slammed the agreement on the ground, jumping up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. We're husband and wife. How can you calculate so clearly? I'm calculating. I laughed in anger. Zhou Wenbin, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, who is holding up this family? Anan's tuition, the costs for her extracurricular activities, the home mortgage and car loan. What part of it isn't I worrying about? Aside from the meager allowance you give me each month, what else have you done for this family? When it was your mother's birthday, I sent her a cruise ticket worth 380,000. When it was my mother's birthday, you showed up with 2 pounds of fruit. Is this what you call a marriage? My words struck him like a knife. Zhou Wenbin was left speechless by my accusations. His face flushed red and then pale. Just then, the doorbell rang incessantly. Open the door. Zhou Wenbin. Open the door for me. Lu Xiu's shrill voice came from outside. Let that unfilial woman get out here. Zhou Wenbin, as if finding a savior, immediately ran to open the door. As soon as the door opened, Lu Xiu, along with his elder sister, younger brother, and their families, surged in like a black cloud. The moment Lu Xiu saw me, she pointed at my nose and began to curse. You good-for-nothing Su Jing. So your wings have hardened. Have they? You dare to challenge me. You want a divorce. Let me tell you, no way. In our Zhou family, there are no divorces, only widows. Her words were so venomous that they shocked me. I ignored her and simply looked at Zhou Wenbin coldly. Zhou Wenbin, is this your choice? Zhou Wenbin avoided my gaze, mumbling incoherently, Mom, don't be angry. Let's talk things over. What's there to talk about with her? Lu Xiu pushed him aside and charged towards me. I'm putting my foot down today. Either you kneel down right now and kowtow to apologize to me, and book that cruise ticket back, or you leave with nothing. Don't even think about taking a single penny from our Zhou family. The relatives behind her all watched with a sense of schadenfreude, pointing and gossiping about me. I looked at this ugly family. Suddenly, I felt that all my years of dedication were a joke. I took out my phone and, in front of everyone, dialed 110. Hello, police officer. I want to report a crime. The address is XX building, XX district, XX. Someone is trespassing and making personal threats against me. My actions stunned everyone, including Lu Xiu. She probably never dreamed that I would dare to call the police directly. You dare to call the police. Why wouldn't I dare? I put away my phone, looked at her, and said, word by word, this house has my name, Su Jing, on the property certificate. Now, immediately, get out of my house. Otherwise, wait and explain yourselves to the police. Lu Xiu was completely dumbfounded. Her mouth hung open, like a duck being strangled, unable to utter a single word. The expressions on the faces of her relatives behind her shifted from gloating to uncertain bewilderment. This house is yours. Her sister-in-law, Zhou Wenhong, asked in disbelief. Otherwise, I retorted coldly. The down payment was made with my premarital property. The mortgage has been paid by me alone these past few years. And the property certificate has only ever had my name on it. This house has absolutely nothing to do with your Zhou family. My words landed like a bombshell, exploding in the living room. Zhou Wenbin's face was beyond pale. It was ashen. He staggered back a step, leaning against the wall, his eyes vacant. He knew that what I said was the truth. When we bought the house, his family didn't contribute a single penny, and Lu Xue even made sarcastic remarks, saying what was the point of a girl buying a house? It would belong to someone else sooner or later. Now, this house she looked down on had become my most solid foundation. Lu Xue's lips trembled for a long time before she squeezed out a sentence. You're talking nonsense. You married Wenbin. Your money is our Zhou family's money. Your house is also our Zhou family's house. Such robber logic made me laugh. Mom, this is a society ruled by law. I kindly reminded her. If you don't understand the law, you can consult a lawyer. The determination of premarital property and separate property after marriage is clearly written in the law. Not to mention this house. Even the other assets under my name have nothing to do with your Zhou family. Other assets. My younger brother-in-law, Zhou Wenwu, keenly seized the key word, his eyes gleaming with greed. Sister-in-law, what other assets do you have? I looked at his greedy face and curled my lips. I slowly walked to the study and took out another file bag. In front of everyone, I took out the items one by one and placed them on the coffee table. This large flat of 200 square meters in the city center was bought in full by my parents as a dowry when I got married. It is currently rented out for a monthly rent of 20,000. This Porsche, worth over $1 million, was bought with my project bonus last year and is also under my personal name. And these 10 shares of this company were my angel round investment a few years ago. Now the company is preparing to go public and is valued at $500 million. Each time I said something, the eyes of the Zhou family widened a little more. By the time I finished speaking, the entire living room was filled with the sound of sharp intakes of breath. They probably never imagined that this daughter-in-law, who usually seemed gentle and virtuous at home, possessed such astonishing wealth. These were things that Zhou Wenbin had never told them. Perhaps even Zhou Wenbin himself was not entirely aware, because he never cared about my career, never cared about my investments. He only cared about whether I gave him living expenses on time every month and whether I took good care of his mother. So, I collected the documents, surveyed the dumbfounded Zhou family, and slowly delivered my conclusion. Even in a divorce, Zhou Wenbin can only take half of our joint savings after marriage. I just roughly calculated that the current balance in our joint bank account is 200,000 3,500 yuan. He can take 100,000 1,750 yuan. As for the rest, the car, the house, the shares, he won't get a single penny. As soon as I finished speaking, the siren of a police car grew louder as it approached and then sounded downstairs. I lifted my chin and looked toward the door. I've said what I needed to say. Now, it's your choice whether you leave with dignity yourselves, or wait for the police to come up and escort you out. The police officers came upstairs quickly. 2 uniformed police officers stood at the door with serious expressions. Who called the police? One of the older officers asked. I raised my hand. I did. I calmly recounted what had just happened. Without my permission, they forcibly broke into my home and subjected me to verbal threats and physical assault. As soon as Lu Xue heard this, she immediately started to act like a shrew. She sat down on the ground and began to slap her thighs and wail. Oh, there's no justice. A daughter-in-law calling the police to arrest her mother-in-law. I raised my son with so much effort, and he married a troublemaker. Police officers, you must stand up for me. This woman is going to turn the world upside down. The relatives behind her chimed in, offering their support. That's right. Police officers. They're all family. Can't they talk things out? She's a junior. Treating her elders like this. It's too much. It's hard for even an upright official to settle family disputes. You shouldn't get involved. The older policeman frowned, obviously accustomed to such scenes. He ignored Lucio's crying and looked at me instead. Madam, can you prove that you own this house? I can. I turned around, took the red property certificate from the safe in the study, and handed it over. The police officer carefully checked the information on it and compared it with my ID card. He nodded and returned the property certificate to me. Then, he turned to the Zhou family. His expression became unquestionable. Everyone. The legal owner of this property is Miss Su Jing. According to the law, without the owner's permission, no one may forcibly enter a private residence. Now, Miss Su is asking you to leave. Please cooperate immediately. Otherwise, we will take you back to the police station for investigation on suspicion of trespassing. The policeman's words were firm and resonant. There was no room for negotiation. Lucio's wailing stopped abruptly. She probably didn't expect that her tried-and-true tantrums and hysterics were worthless in the face of the law. Her sister-in-law, Zhou Wenhong, still wanted to argue, but we're her family. The younger policeman interrupted her directly. There is no family before the law. Only legal citizens. Please respect the owner's rights and leave immediately. The faces of everyone in the Zhou family were burning. They had come aggressively to accuse her, to see her make a fool of herself. But they never expected that. In the end, they would be swept out the door by the police like garbage in such a humiliating way. The surrounding neighbors had long been alarmed by the commotion and opened their doors to watch the spectacle. One after another, probing, contemptuous, and gleeful gazes pierced them like needles. Lucio's face turned from flushed to liver-colored, and then from liver-colored to pale white. The face she valued most in her life was torn off by me at this moment, thrown on the ground, and trampled into the mud. She was supported by her younger son, Zhou Wenwu, and staggered to her feet. As she passed by me, she glared at me with extreme resentment, lowered her voice, and squeezed out a few words through her teeth. Su Jing, you just wait. I looked at them expressionlessly as they sneaked out of my house in disgrace. Bang! I closed the door, isolating all the noise and ugliness outside. The whole world was instantly quiet. I turned around and looked at Zhou Wenbin, who was still leaning against the wall, looking lost. He was like a puppet with all its bones removed, his eyes empty and lifeless. After the police left, the living room fell into a deathly silence. Zhou Wenbin and I were speechless. The once warm home now felt like a cold tomb. After a long time, he found his voice, which was terribly hoarse. Su Jing, did it really have to come to this? I looked at him and suddenly felt a little ridiculous. Zhou Wenbin, you're asking me this now, when your mother brought a group of people into my house, pointed at my nose and scolded me, told me to kneel down and kowtow, and told me to leave with nothing. Why didn't you ask her if it had to come to this? When your mother embarrassed my daughter in front of everyone at the birthday banquet, shattering her small sense of self-esteem, why didn't you ask her if it had to come to this? It was you. It was your whole family who pushed me here step by step with your own hands. My voice was calm, but it was like a handful of knives, slowly slicing away his last bit of pitiful hope. He lowered his head dejectedly and painfully ran his hands through his hair. I'm sorry, Su Jing. I know I was wrong. I'm useless. I failed to protect you and Anan. Give me another chance. Okay. I promise. I will never let you be wronged again. I won't let my mother come to our house again. Let's start over. Okay. He raised his head, his eyes bloodshot and full of pleading. This was the first time I heard the words "I'm sorry" from his mouth. It was also the first time I saw him so humbled. In the past, I might have softened, but now, my heart has long turned into a cold stone after repeated disappointments. It's too late. Joe Wenbin. I shook my head. A broken mirror cannot be mended, and a dead heart cannot be rekindled. The reason you apologize today is not because you truly realize your mistake, but because you've discovered that I'm no longer the pushover you can manipulate. You're scared. You're afraid of losing me as your ATM. Afraid of losing this house. Afraid of losing your comfortable life. Your apology is not out of love, but out of fear after weighing the pros and cons. My words, like peeling an onion, stripped away all his hypocritical pretenses, revealing the selfish and cowardly core within. His face turned pale. He knew I had hit the nail on the head. I walked to the coffee table and picked up the divorce agreement he had thrown on the floor. I smoothed it out again and placed it in front of him. Sign it. This is the most dignified ending. G for us. I get custody of Anan. She will have no further relationship with you. With the Zhou family, you don't need to pay child support. And I don't need it either. This house and all the property under my name have nothing to do with you. The 200,000 in the joint account after our marriage. Well, split it in half. They'll transfer 100,000 to you tomorrow. You can take the car. That car was originally bought for your convenience to get to work. It's registered in your name. Consider it my last gift to you. I arranged everything clearly. No lingering. Joe Wenbin looked at the agreement. Looked at my cold and resolute face, and the last glimmer of light in his eyes was completely extinguished. He seemed to have been drained of all his strength in an instant, collapsing on the sofa. He knew it was all over. This marriage that he had never cherished, this home that he had never put his heart into managing, was finally ruined by his own hands. That night, I slept particularly soundly. Joe Wenbin stayed in the guest room for a night. I don't know when he left. The next morning, sunlight shone through the gaps in the curtains. Warm and cozy, I opened my eyes, without the usual heaviness and depression, feeling only relaxed. I walked to Anan's room. She was still fast asleep, with a sweet smile on her little face. I leaned down and gently placed a kiss on her forehead. Baby, from today onwards, Mommy will give you a brand new world, full of only love and respect. The first thing I did after getting up was to call my lawyer. Attorney Zhang. It's me, Su Jing. We can start the divorce process. He shouldn't have any objections. He's already seen the contents of the agreement. Okay, President Su. They'll arrange it immediately. I can book the Civil Affairs Bureau for as early as this afternoon. Attorney Zhang said crisply on the phone. After hanging up, I dialed another number. Hello, is this the locksmith company? I'd like to change the lock on my front door. The highest security level. Please. With everything arranged, I finally took my time to make breakfast for myself. Golden brown toast, a perfectly fried sunny-side-up egg, and a steaming glass of milk. This was the first time in so many years that I had prepared breakfast just for myself. I sat at the table, slowly eating, enjoying this long-lost peace. Just then, my phone rang. It was my mother calling. Jing Jing, tell Mom the truth. Did something happen between you and Wenbin? I was taken aback for a moment, then realized that Zhou Wenbin or Lu Shua had probably already told my parents. I didn't hide anything, and told her everything that had happened yesterday. From beginning to end, I thought she would advise me to bear it for the sake of the child. To my surprise, my mother on the other end of the phone was silent for a few seconds after listening, and then suddenly slapped her thigh. Divorce. You must divorce. We don't need people like that. Good for you. You should have been this tough a long time ago. My daughter is so outstanding. Why should she suffer such indignities in their family? Do you have enough money? If not, Mom has it here. Don't wrong yourself and Anan. Your dad also said he supports you. Our door is always open for you and Anan. Listening to my mother's energetic voice on the phone, my eyes instantly turned red. This is family, unconditionally supporting you, feeling sorry for you, and always being your strongest backing. Not like the Zhou family, who only knew how to leech, demand, and suppress. Mom, I'm fine, and I have enough money, I said, choking back tears. I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to start a new life with Anan. After hanging up the phone, I wiped away my tears and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window in the living room. Outside the window, a brand new day was dawning. The sun was shining brightly. The traffic was flowing, full of vitality and hope. I knew that from this moment on, my life would turn a completely new page. The grievances and unwillingness of the past few years were like a long nightmare. But now, the dream was over. Dawn had broken. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Zhou Wenbin arrived 10 minutes earlier than the agreed time. He was wearing yesterday's clothes, wrinkled, his hair disheveled, his eyes sunken, and his beard unshaven. He looked as if all his energy had been drained overnight. Seeing me get out of the car, he came up to me. His lips moved, as if he wanted to say something. Su Jing. His voice was as hoarse as if it had been sanded with sandpaper. I didn't stop. Only glanced at him indifferently. Let's go. Quick and decisive. My composure stood in stark contrast to his disarray. He followed behind me, like a child who had done something wrong, awaiting judgment. The whole process was unbelievably fast. Filling out forms, taking photos, pressing fingerprints. When the staff handed us 2 brand new, red booklets, it was all over. Divorce certificates. How ironic. Marriage certificates were also this color. Once, it represented joy and commitment. Now, it represents liberation and a new beginning. Zhou Wenbin clutched the small certificate, his hand trembling violently, his eyes instantly reddening. He looked up, gazing at me with an almost pleading look. It's really over just like that. I didn't answer him. I simply took out my phone and, right in front of him, executed a transfer. 100,000. 1,750 yuan has been transferred to your account. Between us, we're even. Having said that, I turned and left without looking back. Su Jing. He shouted behind me. Are you really? Not giving me even one chance. I stopped, but didn't turn around. I've given you many chances, Zhou Wenbin, when your mother repeatedly made things difficult for me, and you told me to endure it, when your mother repeatedly favored others. And you told me to be generous, when your daughter suffered all kinds of grievances, and you only cared about your mother's face. It was you, time and time again, who personally threw away every opportunity. One didn't say another word, opened the car door, and sped away. In the rearview mirror, his figure grew smaller and smaller, eventually becoming a blurry black dot. Standing alone in place, I turned off the rearview mirror. Some people, some things, are not worth looking back on. Back home, the locksmith was already waiting at the door. I watched him skillfully remove the old lock and replace it with a brand new, more complex smart lock cylinder. When the door lock made a beep sound, and my fingerprint was successfully registered, I felt an unprecedented sense of security. This home, from the inside out, from legal to physical, completely and thoroughly belonged only to me. I called my parents to tell them Anan would be staying with me tonight. My mother repeatedly told me on the phone to rest well and not to think too much. I smiled and agreed. How could I think too much? I felt like I had a heavy burden has been lifted. Even breathing became easier. However, peaceful times are always fleeting. In the evening, I received a call from an ANS kindergarten teacher. The teacher's tone was anxious. An ANS mother. Please come to the school as soon as possible. Just now, an old lady, claiming to be an ANS grandmother, insisted on taking Inan away. My heart sank. Lu Xiaoa. We wouldn't let her take her. So she started crying and on the school gate, saying we were mistreating children and not allowing them to see their family. Now many parents are surrounding to watch. The impact is too bad. I hung up the phone, my eyes turning cold instantly. I really underestimated her shamelessness. When being tough doesn't work, she resorts to tricks. And she still wants to harm my daughter. She really is asking for death. I drove to the entrance of the kindergarten. From a distance, I saw a group of people gathered there, pointing and whispering. Lu Xiaoa was sitting on the steps at the school gate, slapping her thighs and crying with tears and snot. My poor granddaughter. Her grandma can't even see her. This damned woman. It's bad enough that she's not filial, but now she won't even let me see my granddaughter. Does she want to cut off our Zhou family's line? Everyone, come and judge. Is this how a daughter-in-law should behave? Her acting skills are enough to win an Oscar. The onlookers who didn't know the truth had already begun to point fingers at me. This daughter-in-law is too ruthless. That's right. How can she not let the grandmother see her granddaughter? I walked through the crowd expressionlessly and stood in front of her. When Lu Xiaoa saw me, she cried even louder and reached out to grab me. You heartless woman. Where have you hidden my granddaughter? Give me back my granddaughter. I took a step back, avoiding her hand, ignoring her tantrums. I spoke directly to the security guard and the teacher. I've already called the police, and they'll be here soon. This woman has no legal relationship with me. She is causing trouble at the school gate today and attempted to forcibly take away my daughter, which constitutes harassment and attempted abduction. My words were clear and calm, instantly quieting the surrounding noise. Lu Xiaoa was also stunned. She probably didn't expect me to put such a big label on her right away. You're talking nonsense. I'm her grandmother. It's only right for me to pick up my granddaughter. Grandmother. I sneered, took out the brand new divorce certificate from my bag, and waved it in front of her. See clearly. Your son Zhou Wenbin and I officially divorced at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I have custody of Inan. Legally speaking, you have nothing to do with my daughter now. You're just some strange old woman trying to take someone else's child from the kindergarten entrance. The words divorce certificate struck Lu Xiaoa like a bolt from the blue, completely stunning her, and stunning the onlookers as well. So they're already divorced. Then what is this old woman causing a scene for? The crowd's gazes shifted instantly from sympathy to disdain and suspicion. Lu Xiao's face flushed a deep purple. She never imagined I would act so quickly, so decisively. The police arrived quickly. After understanding the situation and reviewing my divorce certificate and Ainan's birth certificate, they issued a stern verbal warning to Lu Xiaoa. Ma'am, your behavior today has seriously disrupted the normal order of the school. If you engage in similar harassment again, we will detain you according to the law. In the face of the police's authority, Lu Xiaoa didn't dare to utter a peep. Finally, under the scornful gazes of the crowd, she was ordered by the police to leave in disgrace. I picked Ainan up from the teacher's office. She was clearly frightened, hugging my neck tightly and whispering, Mommy, why did Grandma want to grab me? My heart ached. I stroked her head and comforted her softly. It's okay, baby. Grandma just wanted to play with you, but she used the wrong way. She won't bother us anymore. I comforted Ainan, but the anger in my heart was burning fiercely. Lu Xiaoa, you asked for this. After putting Ainan to bed, I immediately called my lawyer. Attorney Zhang. Attorney Zhang. I need to apply for a personal safety protection order. Also, please draft a lawyer's letter to be sent to every member of the Zhou family, warning them that if they harass me and my daughter's life in any way, I will use all legal means to hold them accountable. Just defending is not enough. Some people will never know what pain is until you inflict a devastating blow upon them. The next day, I used my connections to find out that Zhou Wenbin's company was recently bidding on a very important project, and the person in charge of this project on the client's side happened to be the husband of a friend of mine. I invited my friend for afternoon tea. After some time, I casually mentioned my divorce. I didn't embellish anything, just recounted the Zhou family's actions as a bizarre story. My friend was filled with righteous indignation and immediately called her husband. I didn't hear what she said specifically. I just lowered my head, slowly and deliberately stirring the coffee in my cup. Zhou Wenbin, aren't you and your mother most concerned about face and your future? Then it'll let you know what it means to be discredited and have your future ruined. A week later, I received a call from Zhou Wenbin. This was the first time he had contacted me since our divorce. His voice on the other end of the phone was full of fatigue and despair. Su Jing, did you do this? He asked point blank. I feigned ignorance. Do what? The project. That most important project at our company. It's gone. The client directly canceled our bidding qualification. My boss called me in and scolded me for a whole hour, saying I offended someone I shouldn't have. Everyone in the company is looking at me with strange eyes. I can't stay here anymore. His voice was on the verge of a breakdown, laced with sobs. Su Jing, I'm begging you, please let me go. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. That was my mom's doing. It has nothing to do with me. Why did you have to ruin my career? Listening to his incoherent wailing on the phone, my heart remained unmoved. Has nothing to do with you. When an avalanche occurs, no snowflake is innocent. Zhou Wenbin, I spoke calmly. I'll only ask you one thing. Will your mother and the rest of your Zhou family ever harass me and Anan again? Silence fell on the other end of the line. After a long time, he finally said in an almost exhausted tone, No, I promise. They won't ever again. My mom, she's already been scolded by my eldest aunt and uncles to the point where she can't even hold her head up. She said she wouldn't dare anymore. That's good, I said. As long as you behave yourselves, your job will naturally not have any problems. If you or your family dare to have any more crooked ideas. I didn't finish the sentence, but I knew he understood. I understand. I understand, he assured me repeatedly. After hanging up, I sent a message to my friend. Thank you. The matter is resolved. My friend quickly replied with an okay gesture. From then on, my world was finally completely clear. Lu Xiaoa and the Zhou family, as if they had evaporated from the face of the earth, never appeared in my life again. Later, I pieced together fragments of their later lives from some scattered rumors. Zhou Wenbin was completely marginalized in the company because of that project. And from being a promising department head, he became an idle person with nothing to do. Eventually, he couldn't stand the atmosphere and resigned on his own. Without a high-paying job, he returned to his previous state of being neither here nor there, and could only do odd jobs to make ends meet. He moved back to Lu Xiao's old small house. Without my financial support, Lu Xiaoa could no longer show off in front of relatives and friends as she used to. It is said that she and Zhou Wenbin argued every day at home over trivial matters, blaming each other, and those relatives who used to revolve around her. After confirming that they could no longer get any benefits from me, also avoided their family. Family ties, they say, are as fragile as cicada wings in the face of self-interest. None of this concerns me anymore. I arranged for Anan to transfer to an international kindergarten with stricter security. I sold the Porsche and bought a more discreet and comfortable van for Ainan's transportation. I shifted more of my energy from work to spending time with my daughter. We baked together, painted together, and flew kites in the park. The smiles on Ainan's face grew more frequent and radiant. One weekend, I took her to an observatory in the suburbs. At night, the wind on the mountaintop was cool, and the starry sky was exceptionally clear. Ainan peered through the massive telescope, marveling at the distant nebulae. "Mommy, the stars are so beautiful." She turned around, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me. I held her close, kissing her forehead. "Yes, darling, our future will be like this starry sky, brilliant, bright, and free from dark clouds forever."